Regulation of respiratory movements. Regulation of respiratory movements. This is also important for NEET purpose, Nana. That's why listen carefully and remember perfectly properly. The respiratory movements regulated by 4 centers. Actually, 3 centers are present. One more receptors also present. Here, respiratory movements regulated by 4 centers. They are respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center. First one, respiratory rhythm center. The respiratory rhythm center present in medulla oblongata, present in medulla oblongata, medulla oblongata, medulla oblongata. It is present in the medulla oblongata. Regulation of respiratory movements. The respiratory movements, it must be regulated by 4 types of centers. First one, respiratory rhythm center. The respiratory rhythm center present in medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Respiratory rhythm center present in the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. It must regulate the respiratory system. The respiratory rhythm center, it regulates respiratory system. Respiratory system. It regulates respiratory system. Means it regulating inspiration and expiration. The inspiration and expiration nothing but respiration. The respiratory rhythm center is regulating inspiration as well as expiration. That's why it regulates respiratory system. It must regulate the respiratory system. This respiratory rhythm center present in the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata, which is present in the brain. Next, second one, pneumotaxic center. Pneumotaxic center. Pneumotaxic center. Pneumotaxic center. Pneumotaxic center. It is present in brainstem. It is present in brainstem. Brainstem. It is present in brainstem. The brainstem, otherwise called as pons varoli. Brainstem. If we will take the brainstem, otherwise called as pons varoli. Pons varoli. Brainstem, otherwise called as pons varoli. It is a part of the brain. If we will take the brain containing this type of structure. This is about the brain. And this part is called as pons varoli. Pons varoli. This part is called as the pons varoli. And this is called as the corpus callosum. We have to discuss about this brain in coming chapter. But here you have to remember brain. The brain containing medulla oblongata. In medulla oblongata, respiratory rhythm center present in the medulla oblongata. The respiratory rhythm center controls or regulates the respiratory system. Respiratory rhythm center regulates the respiratory system. And the second center, That is called as the pneumotaxic center. Pneumotaxic center. If we will take the pneumotaxic center, it is also present in the brain. It is also present in the brain. Among the four centers, just now we have discussed, the respiratory movements controlled by three, actually four, three centers are present. One more receptors also present. But if we will take those three centers, these three centers are present in the brain only. First one, respiratory rhythm center, present in medulla oblongata, part of the brain. And the pneumotaxic center, it is also present in the brain. In where Nana, it is present in pons varoli. The pons varoli, otherwise called as brain stem. Pons varoli, otherwise called as a brain stem. And if we will take next character, it will give signals to the respiratory organs. And due to the signals, the space between, the time between inspiration to inspiration must be decreased. Here you can take it sends signals to the respiratory organs. The pneumotaxic center send signals to, send neural signals to, or send signals to, send signals to, it sends signals to respiratory organs, respiratory organs, respiratory organs, send signals to respiratory organs. Due to these signals, due to these signals, the time between inspiration is going to reduce. The time, time, the time, the time of inspiration, the time of inspiration, the duration of inspiration, or the time of inspiration decreases or reduce or decreases. When the time of inspiration, when the duration of inspiration reducing, when the duration of inspiration reducing, the respiration must be speed. For example, here you can take, I am taking oxygen into my body. It will take some time. When it is reduced, it will occur. When the time reduced in the inspiration, when the duration of inspiration reduce, the respiration must be speed. Respiration must be speed. Here you have to remember this topic, Nana. If the duration of the respiration, or if the time of the respiration reduce or decreases, the time of the respiration decreases, or the time of the respiration reduced, the respiration must be speed. Respiration must be speed. This is about pneumotaxic center. And one more center also present, that is called as chemosensitive center or chemosensitive area. Chemosensitive area, chemosensitive, chemosensitive area or chemosensitive center. The chemosensitive center adjacent to the respiratory rhythm center, adjacent to, adjacent to, adjacent to respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, and it must be beside the respiratory rhythm center. It must be beside the respiratory rhythm center or adjacent to the respiratory rhythm center. Indirectly, the chemosensitive area also present in the medulla oblongata. The medulla oblongata containing respiratory rhythm center. The chemosensitive area, chemosensitive center, it is present beside the respiratory rhythm center. That's why the chemosensitive area also present in the medulla oblongata. And one more thing, the chemosensitive area highly sensitized to, highly sensitized to, highly sensitized to, highly sensitized to carbon dioxide, CO2, and H plus ion concentration, and H plus ion concentration, H plus ion concentration. When more carbon dioxide is present or more H plus ions are present, more H plus ion concentration present, at that time the chemosensitive area immediately it will send signals to the respiratory rhythm center, send signals to the respiratory rhythm center to control the carbon dioxide and H plus ion concentration to do their work perfectly properly, which is taking nana if the percentage of carbon dioxide is increasing or if the H plus ion concentration is increasing, if the percentage of carbon dioxide is increasing or if the H plus ion concentration is increasing, immediately the chemosensitive area recognize, immediately the chemosensitive area recognize and it will send signals to chemosensitive area, send signals to the respiratory rhythm center. The chemosensitive area send the signals to the respiratory rhythm center to control, to normalize this carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration. Here you can take most important nana this character, and when CO2 and H plus ion concentration, CO2 and H plus ion concentration, CO2 and H plus ion concentration more, more, more. It sends to, it send signals to, it send signals to respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center to regulate CO2 and H plus ion, to regulate CO2 and H plus ion. This is about the chemosensitive area. I would like to give this centers once again. Listen to me. Respiratory rhythm center. The respiratory movements must be controlled by some of the centers. We are going to discuss about that centers. Respiratory rhythm center. Respiratory rhythm center present in medulla oblongata. It controls, it regulate respiration. It regulate respiration or respiratory system. It regulate respiration or respiratory system. And in the need they have to ask the respiration regulated by which in a respiratory rhythm center. Respiratory rhythm center. This is about the respiratory rhythm center. Now we have to discuss about pneumotaxic center. Pneumotaxic center. The pneumotaxic center present in the brainstem. Brainstem otherwise called as pons varoli. Directly you may be say the pneumotaxic center present in pons varoli. Pneumotaxic center present in pons varoli. And the pneumotaxic center send signals to the signals to the respiratory organs. Due to the signals, the time of inspiration is going to reduce, or the time of inspiration is going to decrease. Due to the decreasing of inspiration time, the respiration must be speed. Due to the decreasing of inspiration time, the respiration must be speed. It must be speed. This is about the pneumotaxic center. And one more thing, chemosensitive area. The chemosensitive area adjacent to the respiratory rhythm center. Indirectly, the chemosensitive area also present in medulla oblongata. Whatever it may be, you have to remember that chemosensitive area adjacent to the respiratory rhythm center, adjacent to the respiratory rhythm center, and highly sensitive to carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration. It is highly sensitive. If any changes occurs in the carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration, immediately the chemosensitive area recognized that. When the CO2 and hydrogen ion concentration is more, It sends signals to the respiratory rhythm center. It sends signals to the respiratory rhythm center. When it sends signals to the respiratory rhythm center, it must be control the CO2 and H plus ion concentration. This is about chemosensitive area and the respiratory rhythm center, pneumotaxic center. Children's followed, Anna? Anybody want to once again?
Follow, sir.
Okay, now, right now, Nana. Now, some receptors are present. The receptors also playing an important role in the respiratory movements. We have to discuss about the receptors. The receptors are present above the aortic arc, and the carotid artery. If we will take the receptors also regulating the respiratory movements. Receptors also regulating the respiratory movements. Here you can take receptors present above aortic arc or aorta or aortic arc, and carotid artery. And these receptors also recognize carbon dioxide and H plus ion concentration. Carbon dioxide and H plus ion concentration, same as like as this chemosensitive area. The receptors are present above the aortic arc and the carotid artery. The receptors are present above the aortic arc and the carotid artery. These receptors also recognize the carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration. It will do the same function as like as that which in a chemosensitive area. It is also doing that function, and it sends signals to respiratory rhythm center and pneumotaxic center. But in our textbook, pneumotactile is present, but it's pneumotaxic. There you can take it sends signals to respiratory rhythm center, respiratory rhythm center, It sends signals to respiratory rhythm center and pneumotaxic center. Pneumotaxic center. In our textbook, pneumotactile is present. Pneumotactile.
Sir, that means
But
in
here you
every
can take
textbook it is pneumotactile or only in that textbook, sir?
pneumotaxic.
Sir,
It's a pneumotactic. Tell me, Nana.
sir, it is pneumotactic.
Yes, sir. Tactic. But here you can take, just now I told you pneumotactile or pneumotactic. But here it's actually what it is, Nana, pneumotaxic. Okay. It sends signals to respiratory rhythm center. Along with the respiratory rhythm center, it also sends signals to the pneumotaxic center. And these centers are going to controlling this carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration. These are the 4 type of centers which are controlling the respiratory movements. These are the 4 type of factors or areas which are controlling the respiratory movement. This is about regulation of respiratory movement or controlling of the respiratory movement. Followed, anybody want to once again, Nana?
Follow, sir.
Children,
Followed, sir.
Okay, now, okay, Nana. Now we are going to discuss about abnormalities of respiratory system or disorders of respiratory system. 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 So many disorders are present. Among those, we have to discuss some of the respiratory disorders. First one, asthma. Asthma. What is the asthma? We have to discuss. Nowadays, so many members are suffering with this asthma. How it is affecting the person? We have to discuss. What is that? We have to discuss. Here you can take inflammation of bronchi. It is developing due to inflammation of bronchi. Inflammation of bronchi. It is developing due to the inflammation of bronchi. When we will take the allergens, they must be released histamine. Histamine. Due to this histamine, the inflammation is going to occur. The allergens are releasing the histamine, and due to this histamine, the inflammation is going to occur. Inflammation of bronchi is called as asthma. And here you can take the symptoms. 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 This is very, very most important, Nana. That's why listen to me. Difficulty in breathing. Difficulty in breathing. Difficulty in breathing. The person will take breathing hardly, more difficulty in present breathing. Easily the breathing does not occur. He must be take more forcibly. He must be take the oxygen into our body more forcibly. The person who is affected this asthma, the person must take the oxygen into their body forcibly. Difficulty in breathing. Difficulty in breathing. The wheezing sound will come. Wheezing sound will come. Wheezing sound will come. Sound come during breathing. During breathing. During breathing. Wheezing sound in Telugu, pilli kuta, we have to say. Some of the persons while breathing, the sound will come as like as a whistle. That sound will come in the asthma person. Here you can take spasm of smooth muscles of walls of bronchi and bronchiole. Walls of bronchi. The wall of the bronchi containing a smooth muscle. The smooth muscle must be containing spasm, tighten. Tighten the muscles. In the chest area, the muscles must be tight. It's not free. That is called as a spasm. When the muscles are tightened in the chest area, the person not able to breathe perfectly and properly. Why? Because in the breathing, during the breathing, the chest muscles, abdomen muscles, intercostal muscles, they are involving. Mainly intercostal muscles and diaphragm involving. But the person who is affecting the asthma, in that person, the spasm of smooth muscles of walls of bronchi and bronchiole occurs. They must be become tightened. due to the tightening of the smooth muscles, the person not able to breathe perfectly properly. That's why that is called as a difficulty in breathing. And during the breathing, which will come on a whistling sound will come, wheezing sound will come, a whistle sound will come. That is called as asthma. And these asthma must be affected due to the allergens. The allergens are producing histamine. Due to this histamine, the inflammation is going to occur in the bronchi. Inflammation is going to occur in the bronchi. This is about asthma. Followed, anybody want to once again, Nana?
Sir,
Oh, yeah.
what types of allergens, sir, for
What, Nana?
occurring asthma?
What, Nana?
Sir, asthma occur కానికి ఏమేమి
Ah,
problems, sir?
pollen grains. Okay, Nana. Pollen grains. Pollen grains. Some of the foodstuffs also not suitable to the persons. So which foodstuffs are not suitable to that person? We have to avoid those substances. For example, you can take the brinjal. The brinjal is suitable some person. The brinjal is not suitable for some person. If it is not suitable in that person, the inflammation occurs. The histamine release and due to this the allergy occurs. Dust, due to the dust allergy occur. Due to the smoke allergy occur. Due to the pollen grains allergy occur. Due to some which in a scent also the allergy occur. Some of the persons must be use the scents such like different persons are containing different type of the allergens. All persons are not containing same type of allergens. We have to recognize the allergens which is not suitable to us. And if it is not suitable, we have to avoid that substances. Okay, no, Nana? Children, hello?
Yes, sir.
Children, now we have to discuss about emphysema. 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 In this emphysema, alveoli damage in the emphysema. Alveoli damage in this disease. In this disease, the lungs are going to damage. Alveoli are going to damage. Dear, generally the alveoli are very soft and spongy like. Here you can take a spongy. It is very soft. Our alveoli also containing this type of softness and spongy like. But the person who will affect this emphysema, in that person, fibers develop in alveoli. Fibers develop in alveoli and become coalesce. And become coalesce. Coalesce nothing but what, Nana? Hard, tough. If the alveoli are tough, if the lungs are tough, or the lungs are not able to take oxygen perfectly properly. That's why it's very severe disease and it's a chronic disease. If we will take the emphysema, alveoli damage in this disease, or lungs damage in this disease, the surface area of alveoli decreases. Alveoli chambers are completely damaged. Here you can take alveoli. Within 1 minute it is going to close, Nana. You can rejoin immediately. Okay, alveoli are which Nana? Damage. Alveoli damage. When alveoli damage, and not only that alveoli damaging, the alveoli develops the fibers and due to the development of fibers, it become colorless. Colorless means what? Nana? Very hard, very hard. And generally, it must be affected in smoking persons. Due to the smoking, the emphysema disease occurs to the person. The emphysema disease occurs to the person. When the person is going to smoke, most of the persons are most of the persons, the lungs are going to damage due to the smoking.